Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So as you can see from the title, I'm doing another massive horror and thriller book haul. I went on vacation last month, went to some of my favorite bookstores out of town, grabbed a bunch of stuff while I was there, grabbed a bunch of stuff over the last 2 months in general, and I even have some kind of bookish items to talk about today as well. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into this haul. So all of these books were purchased with my own money. One was a gift. One was a gift from my mother, which was great when we were on vacation. I was really excited about finding this, and she bought it for me. It was like $10, those. And one was sent, or two actually, two others were sent to me to read by individual authors, and I will say which books those were when I get to them. But every other book in this was purchased fully by me with my own money, as well as all of the bookish items. I purchased all of the bookish items. So let's start with our bookish items. So first up, I went to the Strand yesterday, and I got this t-shirt. I hope you guys can see it. It is a Bunnicula t-shirt. The Bunnicula series was one of my favorite series growing up. It's definitely one of the books that got me into horror and got me into reading. I've always been obsessed with Bunnicula, and I thought it was so cute that they had this like kind of old school vintage looking shirt, and I had to pick it up because I mean I just need this shirt in my life. Then from Scently Delightful Candle Company, I picked up the Gardens at Pemberley candle, which is a Pride and Prejudice inspired candle, and it is scented like honeysuckle, rose petals, and jasmine. I really like Scently Delightful's candles. I really like them, and I love rose, and I saw this candle and I was like, I really want that. That looks great. And they also sell certain t-shirts, and I recently read Rebecca a couple months ago for the very first time by Daphne du Maurier, and I fell absolutely in love with it. I was like stunned. I'd never read it before because I devoured this novel, and I really wanted this shirt, which is also from Scently Delightful, and it is a picture of Manderley, and it says, "Last night I dreamt I went to Manderley again," which is the opening sentence of Rebecca. So I loved that. I mean, it isn't like a baby blue, which is a color I would probably never wear, but it's got Manderley on it, so that was a shirt I also felt I needed to have. Alright, so let's dive into the books. Like last time, I think I'm going to start with my more like old school gothic novels and then kind of work backwards from that way. And I think I only have one gothic this time. And this is The Marble Fawn by Nathaniel Hawthorne. I picked this up at a occult gemstone store in Rehoboth. I actually got a couple of these books there. They have a really great used book section. And I've never even heard of this book at all. I love Nathaniel Hawthorne. The Scarlet Letter, as a lot of people know, is one of my favorite novels of all time, and I love The House at Seven Gables and a lot of his short stories, but I've never ever heard of this, so I wanted to pick it up. So I'll read the back of the book for you. So it says, Hawthorne found his inspiration for The Marble Fawn during a trip to Italy when in a Roman sculpture gallery he saw the faun of Praxiteles. I hope it's pronounced Praxiteles. He was, he reports in his Italian notebooks, sensible of a peculiar charm in it, a sylvan beauty and homeliness, friendly and wild at once. This charm he bestowed upon his central character, Donatello, who is said to be a descendant of the antique race of fauns. The story traces the pattern of the original fall as Donatello is brought to commit a crime, loses his pagan simplicity, and is educated by his sin into a state of moral consciousness essentially human. The Italian background seemed to free Hawthorne from the need so strongly felt in America for literal treatment, and the romance represents his most abstract, most nearly allegorical study of the nature and effects of evil. Though not his most perfect work, it is perhaps his most ambitious. So this was written in 1860, and again, I've never heard of this, so I'm really excited to read this. I'm really interested in like Greek and Roman mythology, and to see Nathaniel Hawthorne's spin on like a darker tale of the faun, I think could be really cool. So at the same bookstore, I also picked up World War Z by Max Brooks. I've seen the movie. I've read his latest novel, Devolution, which I loved last year. It was in my top 10 books of 2020. It's fabulous. If you've never read it, I highly recommend it. So I did also want to pick up World War Z, An Oral History of the Zombie War. I tried reading this book years and years and years ago when it first came out, and I had like an audiobook in my car, and I just wasn't able to really keep up with it. So I wanted to pick up a hard copy and actually sit down and try and read it. I do terribly with audiobooks. So on the back it says, "We survived the zombie apocalypse, but how many of us are still haunted by that terrible time? We have temporarily defeated the living dead, but at what cost? Told in the haunting and riveting voices of the men and women who witnessed the horror firsthand, World War Z is the only record of the plague years." Max Brooks is actually Mel Brooks' son, fun fact. But I really do like his style of writing. I know that he does a lot of like found footage style writing and like journal-based writing. So I'm really excited to read this. This will be fun. I think they're called epistollaries, right? Epistle writing, something like that. All right, and then last but not least, this is the book my mother got me, and I freaked out. So I actually own this book already. I own a softbound copy of it, and I did pick it up because I know that this is not an easy book to find. I think I might do a giveaway or sell my soft copy book, because I now do have a hardbound book. But this is the Bachman books by Stephen King. These are the 4 original books by King that were written under the pseudonym Richard Bachman before he was discovered to be Stephen King. And the main reason I purchased this is because it is one of the only ways to get a printing of Rage. Rage has been out of print since I believe the late 90s. Stephen King willingly took it out of print. It has inspired one too many negative things that have happened in the world. So he took it out of publication, he took it out of print, which I thoroughly support that decision. And I have read Rage. I do think that Rage is a very interesting novel. It's actually technically the first novel he ever wrote that is published, even though it was published after Carrie. He did write it, I believe, when he was like 17 or 18. So it's really interesting to read what a young Stephen King, what the style of a young Stephen King was like when he was just a teenager and before he became, you know, the Stephen King that we know today. This book also contains The Long Walk, Roadwork, and The Running Man. And I'll just read the little back. It's just a little blurbs on all of them. But, so Rage, a high school show and tell session explodes into a nightmare of evil. The Long Walk, only death can keep you from the finish line in the ultimate competition of the all too near future. Roadwork, what happens when one good and angry man fights back is murder, and then some. And then The Running Man, in the year 2025, ooh, that's soon, the best men don't run for president. They run for their lives. So yeah, the only book out of this collection that I've ever read is Rage. Again, if you can find it, I do recommend it. It's a very interesting read. It's definitely, I think, very personally, tracking down and owning a copy. I know these books are hard to find, and when you do find them, they're expensive, which is why when I found this for really, really cheap, I was absolutely thrilled to have it. So very excited about this. I will definitely be getting through to more of these other novels very, very soon. All right, and the last book I picked up when I was in Rehoboth was from Browse About Books in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. It's one of my all-time favorite bookstores ever. I know I said recently in my Meet the Booktuber video that The Strand and Politics and Prose were my 2 favorite bookstores ever. Browse About Books is my absolute hands-down 3rd favorite bookstore. It's really, really, really cool. It's huge. It's been there forever. It's got a coffee shop and like a tchotchke shop in it as well. It's just awesome. Or when I was at the beach, I was reading In the Woods by Tana French. I really, really enjoyed that novel, so I wanted to pick up one of her other works. So I got The Witch Elm by Tana French. Honestly, I bought it because the concept of the witch elm, if you know anything about true crime, I think is very, very interesting, and I was kind of hoping that this was inspired by that case. So yeah, let me read the back. So it says, Toby is a happy-go-lucky charmer who's been out celebrating with friends when the night takes a turn that will change his life. He surprises 2 burglars who beat him and leave him for dead. Struggling to recover from his injuries, beginning to understand that he might never be the same man again, he takes refuge at his family's ancestral home to care for his dying uncle. A skull is found in the trunk of an elm tree in the garden, and as detectives close in, Toby is forced to face the possibility that his past may not be what he has always believed. So I like Tana French. She's kind of known for doing like detective thriller stories that focus on like the psyche of like the detectives involved, which I think is a really interesting spin on the detective story. So definitely wanted to pick this up. I really, really did enjoy In the Woods, so really excited to read more by Tana French. So I actually ordered this a while ago, but it just showed up because I had gotten the pre-order. And this is the Cemetery Dance Publications Graveyard Editions of Little Girls by Ronald Malfi. This is a beautiful, like, leather gold bound edition. It is part of the Graveyard Editions by Cemetery Dance Publications, so they all kind of go together. I have A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay as well. I love the style and the look of them. So these are 2 out of 6 that they've done so far. These are the 2 that spoke to me the most, so these are the ones that I got. They're not the cheapest because they are like these very beautiful, nice editions, and they are signed by the authors. So you can see right here, I have Malfi's signature. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know at all what Little Girls is about. I bought it because I love Ronald Malfi, and I really like these editions, and I have yet to read a Ronald Malfi book that I don't like. But let me just pull up the Goodreads and I will tell you what this book is about. Normally I wouldn't go in and buy a book blind, but for something like this, I felt that it was fitting. So Goodreads says, from Bram Stoker Award nominee Ronald Malfi comes a brilliantly chilling novel of childhood revisited, memories resurrected, and fears reborn. When Laurie was a little girl, she was forbidden to enter the room at the top of the stairs. It was one of many rules imposed by her cold, distant father. Now, in a final act of desperation, her father has exorcised his demons, but when Laurie returns to claim the estate with her husband and 10-year-old daughter, it's as if the past refuses to die. She feels it lurking in the broken moldings. She sees it staring from an empty picture frame, hears it laughing in the moldy greenhouse deep in the woods. At first, Laurie thinks she's imagining things, but when she meets her daughter's new playmate Abigail, she can't help but notice her uncanny resemblance to another little girl who used to live next door. Who died next door? With each passing day, Laurie's uneasiness grows stronger, her thoughts more disturbing. Like her father, is she slowly losing her mind? Or is something truly unspeakable happening to those sweet little girls? Ooh, see, that sounds great. That sounds fun. Very haunted housey. In my last haul, I did get Floating Staircase by Malfi, which is also a haunted house book. And if you looked at the hint for the August 2021 Nightworms package, I believe the new Ronald Malfi book will be in that. It is a Ronald Malfi book. They've confirmed that. I believe it's his upcoming novel, which I think is called Come With Me. So super, super excited about that. Ronald Malfi all around. I love his work. Okay, next up, I just picked this up at the Strand the other day. This is The Jigsaw Man by Nadine Matheson. I actually grabbed this because I saw on Instagram that Monty Reads had posted about this and sung its praises, so I wanted to check this out. And it says, a serial killer and his copycat are locked in a violent game of cat and mouse. Can D.I. and Angelica Henley stop them before it's too late? On the day she returns to active duty with the Serial Crimes Unit, Detective Inspector Angelica Henley is called to a crime scene. Dismembered body parts from 2 victims have been found by the river. The modus operandi bears a striking resemblance to Peter Olivier, the notorious jigsaw killer, who has spent the past 2 years behind bars. When he learns that someone is co-opting his grisly signature, the arrangement of victims' limbs in puzzle piece shapes, he decides to take matters into his own hands. As the body count rises, D.I. Angelica Henley is faced with an unspeakable new threat. Can she apprehend the copycat killer before Olivier finds a way to get to him first? Or will she herself become the next victim? So yeah, this sounds fun. Up there with like The Chestnut Man. I mean, I feel like I have so many books where like it's a crime thriller and the name is like the blank man, right? I have The Chestnut Man, The Chalk Man, now we have The Jigsaw Man, I have The Snowman. I have a lot of books to read based on funky serial killer names, so that is definitely one of them. Okay, so these next 2 books were sent to me by the authors, just so you guys know, in exchange for like an honest review. I get no money out of this, nothing. This is all just free. They just send me the books. So this is Darkest Hours, the expanded edition by Mike Thorne, and it says, between the covers of Darkest Hours, you will find academics in distress. Humans abusing monsters, demons terrorizing people, ghostly reminiscences, resurrected trauma, and occult filmmaking. Ranging from satirical to dreadful, these 16 stories share a distinct voice, urgent, sardonic, and brutal. This expanded edition includes a new foreword by Sadie Hartman, otherwise known as Mother Horror, who I believe runs Nightworms, and author notes for every story describing Thorne's process, influences, and more. This updated release also features 17 of Thorne's essays on horror cinema, which cover films by Tobe Hooper, George A. Romero, Rob Zombie, M. Night Shyamalan, I always say that wrong, Wes Craven, and Dario Argento, among others. A collection of horror stories that are not only scary, but also intelligent, thoughtful, and carefully planned, which is the quote from iHorror. So this is really cool. So they're not, again, not a novel. This is a collection of stories and essays. I am definitely most interested in his essays on horror cinema. I think that's something that I am truly fascinated with, and that there's not a lot of literature on, or like documentaries on. I do have Shudder, so I get to watch all of like Eli Roth's history of horror and a lot of the documentaries that they've put up there, which I really, really love and devour. So I'm really, really excited to read some of those essays because I love a lot of those filmmakers. And then the second book that was sent to me is Mina and the Undead by Amy McCaw. As I mentioned in my last video, I am doing a giveaway. It will be on my Instagram, and the winner will get a copy of this book from Amy. And yeah, if you're interested in that, check out my Instagram. It is @VioletPrynne, spelled just like my YouTube name, and I will have all the info on how to enter that competition on my Instagram. But yeah, let me just read this for y'all. So it says, New Orleans Fang Fest 1995. Mina's having a summer to die for. Mina arrives in New Orleans to visit her estranged sister, Libby. She loves nothing more than a creepy horror movie and can't wait to explore the city's darkest secrets. Vampire tours, seedy bars, spooky cemeteries, disturbing local myths. Mina lands a part-time job at a horror movie mansion and meets Jared, Libby's gorgeous housemate and fellow horror enthusiast. But the perfect summer bliss is broken when she stumbles upon the body of a girl with puncture marks on her neck, clutching a lock of hair that suspiciously resembles Libby's. Someone is replicating New Orleans' most brutal, supernatural killings. Mina must discover the truth and prove her sister's innocence before she becomes the victim of another myth. A fun romp through the 90s pop culture. Vampires, Buffy, The Crow. Need I say more? Which is a quote from Don Kurtovich. So this is a YA book. I'm usually not super into YA. However, my #1 book of 2020 was Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesare. So when Amy reached out to me to see if I would be interested in reading this, I saw the premise and I was like, New Orleans, 90s, vampires, sign me up. I also really love like the attention to detail that went into not only the cover, it's very Grady Hendrix, but like the actual like interior of the book. This is a really, really pretty edition. So I'm very, very excited for this, and I can't wait to read it. I really can't. I will be honest though, I have not read this book quite yet, but yes, I will be reading it very, very soon. All right, I have 3 more books for you. 2 are newish releases, and 1 is not, but I will start with the one that is not. Also picked this guy up at the Strand. This is The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher. I loved The Hollow Places so much by T. Kingfisher, and everybody was like, read The Twisted Ones, that I have to go and read it. And I know that this is inspired by the short story called The White People, I believe. Forget who originally wrote it, but Hollow Places was originally inspired by The Willows by Algernon Blackwood, which I actually just read, and when you see the parallels, it's great. So I'm planning on reading this and then going and reading, I think it's called The White People. I could be totally wrong. But I'm gonna go plan on reading The White People right after this. Yes, it is. It is The White People by Arthur Machen, which was originally published in 1904, and he is best known for his novel The Great God Pan. So Pan all around. All right, so The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher. Let me stop rambling and tell you guys what this book is about. When Mouse's dad asks her to clean out her dead grandmother's house, she says yes. After all, how bad could it be? Answer, pretty bad. Grandma was a hoarder and her house is packed to the gills with useless garbage. That would be horrors enough, but there's more. Mouse stumbles upon her step-grandfather's journal, which at first seems to be the ravings of a broken mind. Until she encounters some of the terrifying things he described herself. Alone in the woods with her dog, Mouse has to confront a series of impossible terrors, because sometimes the things that go bump in the night are real, and they're looking for you. And if she doesn't face them head on, she might not survive to tell the tale. So I really like T. Kingfisher's writing style, and you can kind of tell by what the back of the book sounded like. She's very casual in her writing, but it's at the same time very well written, very well constructed. There's a lot of world building. She's got very likable characters, and she writes a scary story. So it's kind of like a weird, almost like Darcy Coates kind of level of casual, like funness meets like cosmic-y supernatural horror. Like, I don't know, I really enjoy T. Kingfisher's writing. So I have a full review on The Hollow Places up on my channel. I'll link that above, but I'm really excited to read her her first branching into horror from a couple years ago. Okay, so the next final two books are new releases. First up is The Lost Village by Camilla Sten. I've heard a lot of interesting things about this. This is a translated novel. Let's see. And this was the selling point to me. It says, The Blair Witch Project meets Midsummer in this brilliantly disturbing thriller from Camilla Sten, an electrifying new voice and suspense. I've seen everywhere that this is very Blair Witch meets Midsummer, which are two of, I personally think, the most innovative horror films that have come out in my lifetime. So I was very much interested to read this. So let's see what it's about. So it says, documentary filmmaker Alice Lindstedt has been obsessed with the vanishing residents of an old mining town dubbed the Lost Village since she was a little girl. In 1959, her grandmother's entire family disappeared in the mysterious tragedy. And ever since, the unanswered questions surrounding the only two people who were left, a woman stoned to death in the town center and an abandoned newborn, have plagued her. She's gathered a small crew of friends in the remote village to make a film about what really happened. But there will be no turning back. Not long after they've set up camp, strange things begin to happen. Equipment is destroyed. People go missing. As doubt breeds fear and their minds begin to crack, one thing becomes startlingly clear to Alice. They are not alone. They're looking for the truth, but what if it comes to find them first? Come find out. So, I've seen that there's a bunch of mixed reviews on this. I figured I would pick it up and read it for myself. It's also a beautiful, beautiful cover. But I've heard some really interesting things about this book. I decided to pick it up. I really am interested to check it out, and I will let y'all know what I think once I do. All right, and last but not least, when we look at the size of this book, I thought this book was going to be really, really short because Tim Myers already had another release out this year. He had Paradise Club come out in February of 2021, which I absolutely adored. If you guys haven't seen my video on that, check it out. It's a great book. But I really wanted to read this. I've been reading a lot of Tim Meyer recently. This will be my 4th Tim Meyer book of the year. But I did not expect it to be like 550 pages long. Look at this. Look at this. I believe Keelan Patrick Burke designed the cover for this. I know he does a lot of book covers. I could be wrong on that. But he wrote like Sour Candy and like Kin and Turtle Boy, I believe. So he's like a big writer himself. But yes, this is Malignant Summer by Tim Meyer. This just came out back in June, and it says, it's 1998 in Hooperstown, New Jersey, and people are getting sick. Some citizens blame the local chemical plant. A select few believe something far more terrifying is responsible. A dreadful force that causes nightmares, visions, and aberrant illnesses. Bad things are blooming in Hooperstown, and the stench of death is growing stronger. Standing on the edge of summer break after the longest day of 8th grade ever, Doug Sims and his 2 best friends join a group of older kids for an all-night scavenger hunt. It's supposed to be a celebration, an evening of fun and freedom. But what happens that night will change their summer in the darkest ways imaginable. And not just their summer, but their entire lives. Malignant Summer is a coming-of-age epic where innocence is lost and the path through adolescence is painful, where dreamscapes merge with reality, where love seems possible, and the best season feels like it can last forever. I'm so happy it's a coming-of-age story. You guys know how much I love coming-of-age horror. It's my all-time favorite horror genre. I'm so stoked that Tim Meyer has a coming-of-age story. I guess that makes sense why it's so damn large. Yeah. I'm really excited for this. I love coming-of-age horror. Oh, this is gonna be fun. I'm very excited. And it's not like, it doesn't seem to be about like a monster or like a serial killer, it's like a lot of coming of ages are. It seems like it's gonna be like plaguey, so that could be really fun. So yes, so excited about that. Yes, alright, so I know I've been rambling on about books over and over and over, but we've gotten to the end of my haul. I'm so impressed. I am going to make my way through these books as fast as possible. I know it's summer now, a ton of new releases are coming out. I've already got the Riley Sager book on pre-order. I'm about to pre-order the new Grady Hendrix. So yes, I have so many books coming. I have so many reviews I need to do, and I will try and get them all out and read as soon as possible. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. It means so much to me that you guys engage with these videos. It's awesome, and I'm so happy to make them for you. As always, I post every Monday and Thursday. If you enjoy these videos, please hit those likes and subscribe buttons down below. It helps me out so much. And I will catch you guys all in the next one. Thanks again. Mwah.